All right, beautiful, and another great and glorious day. Good to have every one of us. Yeah, it's a good day, and I believe today we wouldn't do so much because we've gone so far in the instance storages. And before we kick off, I really would want to encourage you to do your hands-on. Cloud engineering solution architect is all about hands-on, what you can produce yourself, what you can provision. It's not like you watch and listen and then you say you are good theoretically. It's not about theory. There are certain things employers want to see from you, and you should be able to produce it for them so they can put a price on it. So that is great. Today we're going to talk about AWS Storage Gateway. And, we started by talking about the EBS, EFS, FSX, and so on and so forth. And today we want to talk about the storage gateway. And now storage gateway, like the name implies, gateway, that's to say that something is seated between two worlds. So I want you to picture the on-premise world and also picture the cloud world. So what is going to stay in between is the storage gateway. The storage gateway enables you to, enjoy hybrid, to juggle between the AWS platform with your data and also your on-premise data. So now let's take a look at it. So I said AWS Storage Gateway is a hybrid cloud storage service that is provided by Amazon Web Services that enables seamless integration between on-premises environments and the AWS cloud. So this should be your understanding: on-premises environment and the AWS cloud. So the gateway is what is seated in between. All right, it acts as a bridge. Yeah, that is a connecting part between your local infrastructure and the AWS cloud. Through it, you should be able to extend your storage from on-premises to the cloud. Yeah, that is how it works. So under this, we have about 4 storage gateway that we would be configuring today. And I want us to have the theoretical understanding of how they work before we now start provisioning them. And the very first one on my list here is the S3 file gateway. All right. And the S3 file gateway is very simple. This gateway allows us to store and access objects in Amazon S3 bucket using the network file system protocol. You see, you have an S3 bucket and you want to be able to access the S3 bucket from your on-premise infrastructure. So if that is what you want to do, the option becomes appropriate for you. The S3 file gateway option becomes appropriate for you. It means you can access your S3 bucket as if they were mounted on the network drives on your on-premise servers, you see. With it, you can enjoy scalability. And it's a cost-effective way of storing and retrieving data in the cloud without the need to modify existing applications. You leave everything the way they are, but you want to create an extension from your on-premise. You still want to access the S3s by storing data in there or accessing data from there back to on-premise. So now let's see. The next one is the volume gateway. And as we talked about volume gateway, I know what's coming into your mind. That is the block storage volume, your EBS. Through this volume gateway, you should be able to access your EBS through your on-premises application. But you need the internet small computer system interface as the protocol. But with this, it offers 2 ways that you can do it. 2 ways. Come in let's remove this. Then we start explaining it. Let's modify the slide a little. All right. Modify the slide a little so we can now talk about it. You see? Move on to the next slide. So this volume gateway offers what is called the cached volume and the stored volumes. Now, what is the cached volume? It's in a place where you can have frequent access to your data stored in the AWS S3 while you are yet on premises to retain a cache of the most recently used data. When we say cached, you mean that you should know that you're trying to reduce the latency by ensuring that data that have been fetched once accessed rather in the S3 bucket are saved in the storage gateway. For you not to travel that far the next time you want to access them. So the storage gateway becomes your destination because your frequently accessed data are cached in there. So the volume gateway does that for you, which is the right option. Why the stored volumes is a little bit different. Now the data that are stored on premises at a point in time, you can have a snapshot of them in a way and have them backed up time to time in your S3 bucket. So the volume gateway does that for you. It has the ability to cache it. If that's the option you're choosing, the cache volume. If the option has to be the stored volume, you pick the stored volume. That's to say that at interval, there will be a snapshot of your data, and then it can have it been backed up in your Amazon S3 bucket. You see? So the third one is the tape gateway. And this provides a virtual tape library for us. It allows us to archive data, to archive data to the virtual tape stored in Amazon S3 or Amazon Glacier. There are some businesses that have the regulatory mandate to ensure that they have backups of their tapes, and yet they still want to enjoy the cost-saving advantages that cloud infrastructures offers. So what would they do? They need the tape gateway to be able to have their files saved in S3, part of their files saved in Amazon S3 or Amazon Glacier, and yet still, retain what they have on premise. You see how it is? It's very simple. Yesterday we talked about FSx, and now FSx has its own file gateway. If you must access FSx, you need the FSx file gateway. Yeah. So these are the 4 options the AWS storage gateway offers us. And it's good you're conversant with them and when to use them. They're very simple. The very first one we talked about is the volume gateway. We talked about the FSx gateway and the S3 file gateway. And what else? The tape gateway. All right? So that is how it is. It's pretty simple, easy to understand, but at this entry level, with this knowledge which you have on and about them, is enough for you to scale. It's enough for you to fly. It's enough for you to pass your exams and pass your interviews. But I would want to give us additional benefits of going into to provision them, to see how it works and how to find them and how to have them provisioned. Let's get in to the AWS console. All right. Okay. So each time we get into the AWS console, what do? We immediately go to where? The search pane. So we get in there to say storage gateway. It's already showing. So let's get in by clicking it, storage gateway. Wow. So this is it. This is it. So this requires us to get in here by clicking create gateway. All right. You click create gateway, and now they have how it works. You can know when you click each of these and can explain how you should be able to have them provisioned. You come down to the gateway name you want to give it. You may say Timex Pekene. Let's take lowercase all through, right? Let's take lowercase. Right, Timex Pekene. All right. Then we pick our time zone. Where I am, I'm in the GMT +1, but I'm going to search to see if we have the GMT +1. We'll see, we go down. All right, GMT +1 here is in the Brussels, Copenhagen. Copenhagen is the capital of Denmark. Okay, we have Madrid, Paris, all these, I think they're in Europe, but it still falls within our own time zone. So we pick it. Now we go down to now access the 4 gateway options which we talked about. You see, what do we have in here? We have the Amazon S3 file gateway. Just as we explained, it says stored and access objects in Amazon S3 from your NFS or SMB file data, with local caching. Can you see that? So that is the option. We now go down. If that's what we want to do, we go down. Now we have the host platforms to choose from. All these are different kinds of virtual machines. We have the VMware, we have the Microsoft hypervisor, we have the Linux KVM, and we have the Amazon EC2. Okay, so these are virtual machines. They enable virtualization. The hypervisor enables virtualization. That is to say, what is virtualization? Virtualization is when your on-premise single server can be replicated into thousands of other servers. So these other servers will be virtual servers. So what enables you to get that done is the hypervisor. Just like when we started our training, we talked about installing Linux in our virtual box, right? We did that, installing, and then we installed the Oracle VM virtual box on our system. And in it, we were able to run the Linux Ubuntu, which is another operating system in it. So what is in this laptop, what is in my system that enables us to virtualize? It is the hypervisor. All right? So without the hypervisor, we will not be able to run thousands, of these virtual boxes are not virtualized. So that's about it. Let's get back in. So that's that. So we choose this as our host platform. We'll get in. Okay, leave this. And they said, you okay this by saying I downloaded the OVF template and completed the deployment and then followed all the steps above. You say next. And here now, it's asking us if we have to use the IP address of our gateway or we want to activate. we need an activation key. So whichever is the option, you pick it. Let's get back to the previous page. Let's get in to this place. Okay, let's take a look at the volume gateway. Like I said, the volume gateway comes in two diets, the cached volume and the stored volume. The cached volume allows us to have our most frequently accessed data cached in the volume gateway. So we can enjoy low latency if we must access them. While the stored volume, if this is the option we're looking at, what are we doing? Our on-premise data that we have on our on-premise servers, once in a while, there will be a snapshot of them, and it will be transferred into the Amazon S3 bucket for backup. So you see how these organizations would now start enjoying AWS services while they still maintain the on-premise. This system is advisable for organizations that want to move into the cloud, like their very first time of coming into the cloud. They wouldn't want, it's not good to test the depth of an ocean with two legs. That's what people wise men would rather advise us, right? So what do? You may want to start from this aspect, start enjoying it, see how durable it could be. And from there on, you may not be moving certain percentage and completely you can onboard, completely migrate all your data to the Amazon cloud. All right. So same thing is going to happen. We may choose, you can see the EC2 option is gone when we are taking the stored volume. The EC2 option which we had here is gone. So we may pick Linux in this case, or Microsoft Hypervisor. I think for Windows owners, Microsoft Hypervisor will be the most appropriate. So like we say, you take this guy and you get him. Same thing you're going to do. The protocol is pretty simple. Pretty simple, okay? So I just want us to get familiar with this. That we have 4 options in the storage gateway. And under the volume gateway, we have 2 options, which is the cached volumes and the stored volume. At this level, this is enough, because you wouldn't want to go on and now start creating, cost for yourself. It is enough, very much enough. So that's how the hybrid aspect of it works. So when you think about storage gateway, you think about hybrid, still remaining on-premise, but yet you want to enjoy the benefit of the cloud. By so doing, you need the storage gateway. If the files, the data that you want to enjoy is a block data, what do? You choose the volume gateway option. If it is FSX, you choose the Amazon FSX file gateway. If it is S3 that you want to back your data in, you now pick the Amazon S3 file gateway And then if it is a taping organization that has the regulatory mandate for them to ensure that they keep everything on premise, the tape gateway becomes their option. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple, right? Yeah. Through this, you've learned about virtualization. You've learned about hypervisor. Hypervisor enables virtualization. Virtualization is the ability for you to create an on-premise server in the cloud, and maybe through a single on-premise server, you create millions or 1,000 other servers in the cloud. All right, so this is all we have to talk about storage gateway today. All right, so let's get in here, stop the sharing, and we would now stop the recording.